This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 385 of the Stable Scoop radio show on Horse Radio Network, racing into 2016. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Our sponsors this week are Bed in a Box and Stud Muffins. Intern Haley fills in for Helena as we get a training tip from Ellie in New Zealand. We hear all about the Thoroughbred Barrel Racing Association. Yep, you heard that right, Thoroughbred Barrel Racing. And we take a look at the very high-tech halter in the Tack and Habit segment. Listen in.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Glenn the Geek.
And this is Haley Johnson, and you're listening to the Stable Scoop radio show on the Horse Radio Network.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. It's so good to be back here on Stable Scoop. Helena is off this week. She actually had a doctor's appointment, so she'll be back next week. And you know what? When you have to go when the doctor wants you. There's no choices anymore. So she was sorry she couldn't be here in this first episode. She really wanted to be. But we have with us Haley, our first beta intern here at the Horse Radio Network. Hi, Haley.
Woo, thank you.
It's
glad to be back.
It's good to have you here. Now, you started as our first intern. We put out a call 3 or 4 months ago, and you're kind of our beta. We were testing the whole what we wanted to do with an intern with Haley.
Pig.
Yeah, she's our guinea pig. And she's done so well that I asked her to fill in for Helena today and to do her first co-hosting job. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Now, Haley, what have you done so far as an intern?
I did an episode producing back in, I think, October with one of our jump jockeys that we talked to. And then I helped out.
In the morning. Yep. By the way, it's been our most downloaded. It was our most downloaded episode last year. Was that episode you produced, and you booked that guest, and that guest got us the most downloads we had all year.
Oh, you're making me blush.
That's true, though.
He's really cool. I was really glad that he came on. He's hilarious. And then I also helped out with the first ever horse radiothon, and right. I mostly was kind of the operator behind the scenes, just helping Jennifer out.
And that wasn't easy on Radiothon Day, was it?
It was fun. I thought it was fun.
I mean, those lines were hopping. So
yeah. You had the hard part.
The producer really, though, did. I know you and Jennifer were hopping all day long, and there was a lot going on behind the scenes for that 12 hours, too.
Yeah, kind of a smorgasbord of phone calls and taking calls and things. So
you helped out in the last hour, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Just a little bit.
Yeah. Did you get to talk to Boyd off air?
No, I really wanted to, but something got messed up with the lines. So they would, another time I'll talk to him.
I know you were kind of looking forward to that. Do I get to call Boyd?
Yeah, but you know what? I got to talk to Jimmy Schramm, and I think she's really awesome too.
Yes, she is. Yep. It was a fun day, and thank you so much for helping out with that. We really appreciate it, too. Tell everybody that has not heard you on the air before a little about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm in Logan, Utah, so that's very northern Utah, just kind of close to the border of Idaho and Utah.
And by the way, everybody, she posted pictures of her riding in the snow the other day. It looked like a whole lot of snow the other day.
It was a winter wonderland, that is for sure. I've got, I think she's 5 now. Now that it's the new year, she's a 5-year-old thoroughbred mare, and she's kind of been my
off the
first
track
project. No, she's not.
Okay.
She was kind of thrown into a sale with a dressage horse going to a very wealthy lady, and I don't know, she wasn't the prime material. I'm not sure, but anyway. She got her face kicked in, and so she wasn't as pretty. And so she needed a home, and so she ended up falling into my hands, and now I'm training her to be an eventer, and she loves it. She loves it.
Well, you know what? It doesn't matter what she looks like to be an eventer.
That's right. Yeah. She's grown out of it. It's funny how when you get them when they're 3, they just look like little scragamuffins.
Yes,
But
they do.
now she looks like a horse. So
Yeah. Was that the one you were riding in the snow?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. Pretty
Yeah.
horse. Yep.
Thank you.
And she apparently is a real trooper too.
Oh my gosh. She could be a police horse if she wanted to be.
Well, that's what you want for an eventer, right? You want that temperament. So.
She'll go, and she's got a pretty cool mind. But she loves cross country. She'll go run and gallop and run through hills, and she's awesome.
How about
I'm
dressage?
lucky. She's learning to like dressage. She's learning to appreciate it.
Oh, you mean like the rest of us?
Probably, yeah. Gosh, she'll go gallop cross country, but getting an extended trot is like, really, we're not going anywhere. We're just in this ring. And
how's stadium?
Stadium's good. She'll jump anything.
So
we're still working on the finesse. So,
yeah. So occasionally we top one, huh?
She clears it every time. It's usually like we have a great rhythm, and then 2 strides out, it's like, oh my gosh, we're gonna jump. Anything over 2.6, but I feel like that's pretty typical for, just
for
with
her
a year
age and everything.
Yeah,
Had. Well, that's terrific. Well, what's her name?
Her name is Tango.
Tango.
And her show name is Niner 51 Tango. I named her after my great grandfather flew airplanes, and that was his airplane call sign was Niner 51 Tango. And
how cool is that?
So that's kind of my tribute to him. And people tease me though because she's kind of a Barbie doll. So, I had one dressage trainer tell me she doesn't look like a Niner 51 Tango. She looks like Butterfly. That's not an event horse name.
Just what you want to hear, right?
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, we're working on looking tough, I suppose.
Well, good job. Good luck with her. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun. Are there a lot of events up there in northern Utah?
Eventing in the west side is different than back east, and it's quaint, and it's fun, and there's a lot of travel in between. There's 2 recognized events up here in Utah now, and then a couple of big schooling shows that are kind of like halfway between schooling and halfway recognized. So, enough to keep you busy throughout the year if you're in it for fun.
You also hit some little jumper shows and dressage shows then too?
Yeah, there's a collection of jumper shows going around. I think there's quite the hunter jumper population in Salt Lake, which is a couple hours south of me. And there's a big following of dressage out here, actually. A lot of dressage in Idaho, a lot of dressage in Utah, and I'm getting really involved with that too. I'd like to get my USDF instructor certification too, so working towards that.
And you're also in college?
Yes, I'm an equine major at Utah State University.
And how many more years do you have to hang around there?
This is my last semester. I have seriously one class.
Really? One class this semester?
Just
you're done?
Done. I'm
Yay!
done. So close.
Are you ready to be done?
I'm ready to be done. It's been fun, but I want to go do things now. So
what do you want to do?
Along with getting an instructor certification, I kind of have this lofty goal of someday being a TD. And people call me crazy, but I really like organizing things and I really like bossing people around.
Which is why before we started the show, everybody, her husband was doing the dishes.
He volunteered. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All
right. So I've organized quite a few little horse shows and clinics up here, more so clinics than shows, but I'm working with Utah State's extension program to get some English things happening up here because it's kind of Western land up here, which is fine, but English is where it's at, let's be honest. Just kidding. I like all the disciplines, but yeah, so that's kind of me.
Before we get to our first guest, a little housekeeping here. I wanted to mention that when Helena comes back next week, we have an announcement for everybody about the Stable Scoop show in 2016. We think it's an exciting announcement and that you're going to really enjoy it. That's all I'm going to say right now because I end up talking too much. But so there's a big announcement. It's about it. The show's not going anywhere. Helena's not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. It's about the format of the show. So we'll make that announcement. I already told Haley, and you were very excited about it, weren't you?
It's good. Yeah,
good.
It's good.
And it's something that I don't know that has ever been done on a podcast anywhere before, actually.
Gosh, starting the new year is exciting. You get all these surprises, and you're
right.
telling people there's big things coming, but they have to wait to the next episode.
Well, we were going to announce it this week, but then Helena had to go. So we couldn't announce it this week, but it'll be next week, and you'll hear all about it. I don't want to take Helena's thunder away either. Well, our first guest today has been on the show before. Her name is Ellie O'Brien. You'll remember her because she is a natural horse trainer out of New Zealand with finesse equestrian training. Ellie was here in the United States. If you're new to the show, she was here in the United States for a year, and I got to meet her at Road to the Horse, and we really hit it off. And I said, you got to come on the show. And she's been coming on the show doing training tips with us ever since, even after she moved back to New Zealand. You also remember, listeners to the show will remember she is the one that broke her back falling off a horse and ended up in traction and in recovery. She's starting to work with horses again, but she isn't riding yet. So she'll be riding soon. I hope. We'll ask her about that. But this is Ellie O'Brien for Finesse Equestrian Training with our training tip of the month. Well, hi, Ellie. Welcome back to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me back. It's been a while.
I know. Well, Happy New Year to everybody down there in New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah, and same to you guys.
Well, Ellie, we have to ask you a couple things. First of all, how's your back doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm back up and moving around and running and, well, not quite running, but I'm moving at least. I feel like I could ride a horse, but I have to be very well behaved and stay on the ground for now.
So are you able to ride, or when will you be able to ride?
Yeah, I have to. I've got surgery again in May to get all the hardware out of my back. So I'm meant to stay off until then. I've sat on a horse twice because I was having dreams about holding reins. But it's best. It's kind of not the act of riding itself, but it would be if I fell off, then I would be in big trouble.
Do they just cut your back open and have a big magnet? Is that what they do? And then just
you pull everything out.
Yeah.
There's some great visions. No, I think they unscrew bits and pieces and carefully dissect it.
Oh, so is that going to have a recovery time too, that surgery, or is that a little easier?
It's meant to be easier, and I'm kind of wishful thinking. I'm like, 2 weeks would be nice, and then I could be riding again. But I'm not too sure, really. I guess I need to have a chat with my surgeon.
Well, by the way, congratulations for actually listening to your doctors and not being like most of the horse people we know who would hop on anyway.
Yeah, that's hard.
Now, how long has it been since?
It happened in May, so
we're coming up on a year in May. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good. You were 8 months, and when you first had that fall, we weren't sure you were going to walk again. So everything is doing well that way. So good job.
Yeah. I'm very thankful for that.
How long after? Sorry, Glenn. No, how long after this new surgery will you be able to be up and walking and moving around and?
Well, it was quite interesting because after I had the accident and I had the fall, we had to wait about a week until I had surgery. And at that point, we didn't know if I would walk again. But the surgery was successful. So they had me up on my feet within a day, I think. And
wow.
It was so painful. But so I guess it will be the same thing at this time.
Well, now I heard also that you're going to be doing something exciting here in the next couple days. What are you doing? Tell everybody about it. They're all going to be jealous.
Well, I've had to come up with crazy ideas to keep me excited while I'm not riding horses. But I decided that at the month of January, I wanted to do a bit of a road trip around some of New Zealand and put on some, I call them pay what you want clinics, so that it opens it up to everyone and anybody, and they can pay what they can afford and come along and learn. So we're starting off. We actually leave today and head down for the Buck Brannaman Clinic, which will be amazing. And then from there, we kind of carry on around the country, and we're just kind of stopping off. Holding a few clinics, and I'm going to a few stud farms. I'm really excited about. I'm going to an Icelandic pony stud farm, which will be cool.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm very excited.
That's a long way from home for the Icelandic ponies. I'm just saying.
It is a little way, isn't it?
Yes.
And the odd thing is that the stud farm is in a really warm area of New Zealand.
They keep their clippers handy, I hope.
Yeah.
Hey, Buck Brannaman. So, what are you are you auditing that clinic?
Yeah, just auditing. So that will be neat. I've kind of chased him around the world watching his clinic. So,
are you a Buck stalker?
I guess so.
Just admit it. Live up to it. Own it, Ellie. Yes, I stalk Buck Brannaman.
Yeah. I may or may not have cried after meeting him for the first time.
Are his clinics as cool as the movie portrays them to be?
What was that, sorry?
Are his clinics as cool as the movie portrays them to be?
Yeah, they're really neat, and I love being able to watch all the different sorts of people and their different stages, and just seeing where they're at and the things that they're doing that are making big differences, and things that are not working so well, and they need to figure out in their journey. So yeah, I love them.
Very cool. Well, now let's get on with our training tip of the week. What are we talking about?
So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the use of the dressage training scale and as using it as a framework for our groundwork. So I've been working a bit on this lately, putting together, I guess, especially because I compete in dressage and have a background in show jumping, and I wanted to create something that I guess a lot of my friends and clients could understand from what they knew in the ridden side of things with the dressage training scale. So shall I just kind of go through the different levels, Glenn?
Sure. And
Cool.
Haley knows a little bit about this too. She's an eventer, so she has to force herself to do dressage.
I actually like dressage. I have to force my horse to do dressage.
Dressage, there you go.
That's the difference.
He's more of a jumper.
Yeah, she's more of a jumper.
That's cool. So to get started, I just guess going through from the beginning, we have our rhythm, and I kind of like to think of this on the ground as well. We all know it's getting them going forward. So I use like a whole bunch of exercises on the ground first of all to just get them going forward nicely. And then, of course, we move through into the relaxation, and we get that through asking for suppleness and creating that softness. And once I've sort of worked on that, then I start with the connection. And in the dressage training scale and the ridden side of things, that's generally between your hands and the horse's mouth through the reins. But I'm such a big believer that, yes, we want to have that, but we also want to have their mind connected to their feet as well, so that we get all of the parts coming together. As you've probably seen sometimes when people pick up on a rein to have their horse turn somewhere, and you can see the horse like looking to the other side, and then they get that shoulder that drifts out to the outside.
Been there.
Yeah, that's not a nice feeling when you want to go around the corner.
Nope.
So from there, following through, we start working on the impulsion. And now some people get caught up in this and think that that can be about speed and a physical aspect, which of course it is to a certain extent, the physical side of things. But I like to think of it as that it's energy that comes from the mind, because we want the horse to be calm and relaxed, but still have that power to go forward as well. And after that, we work on some straightness, and we don't do that by trying to force the horse to be straight. We get the straightness happening from doing all of the previous stages. So the horse has to be going forward. It has to be soft, and it has to be supple and be able to bend and have its mind connected to its feet, like I was saying before. And then we find that the straightness just comes through. And then moving up to our final stage in the training scale, which is collection, which comes from the horse being mentally balanced and responsive, but calm and relaxed at the same time. So using a whole heap of exercises on the ground to get all of these things happening. And once we have them happening on the ground, then of course it makes it so much easier when we take it through into the saddle, because the horse is already understanding those cues and what's being asked of it.
So I have a question. I actually went to a recent instructor certification workshop stuff where we talked a lot about this sort of thing. And a big part of, is identifying where is your horse on this scale currently. How do you find where to start? Where is your horse on the scale?
Yeah, so generally what I'll do is I will, if I have a horse come to me, or if the owner is working with it, I'll kind of have a look and just assess what sort of things the horse is doing nicely and what sort of things it's not doing so nicely. And I like to use a little problem-solving pattern where we ask, generally it's 5 whys, but sometimes you don't need to get to that point. But say if the horse was having some trouble with straightness, I might say, well, why is he not straight? Perhaps because he lacks impulsion and he lacks the willingness to move forward. So then I would backtrack it and say, well, why is he lacking this? Because there's no connection between the mind and the feet. Why is there no connection there? Because he's tense through his body and he's distracted. So then that kind of leads me to believe that, well, I need to work on a whole heap of relaxing exercises to build trust and to get him moving softly through his body. And most of us know that comes from doing a lot of lateral work, getting the hindquarters moving and the ribs moving and the shoulders and the neck and the pole and the jaw.
Right. The whole picture.
Yeah, that's right. So it's always just backtracking and going through. And I think that's the beautiful thing about having the scale, is that we've got a stepping stone process on the way in. So if we come up against something, we've got steps on the way back out to figure out where the problem is.
I have a couple questions to go with that. Do you find, and I know I'm guilty of this, I'm hoping others are too, do you find that people may have skipped a step and they're working on straightness, but maybe they're having a hard time because they're lacking, the connection or the impulsion? And do you find that people are so far ahead and they have these high expectations and you have to say, this is great where you're at, but you've missed this foundation step and you need to go back? Or do you find that people get so far with their horse's training, but then sometimes they need to go back and readdress something lower down on the scale?
Definitely. I think that we're definitely, you're not alone there.
Good.
And I think it's just a part of training. It's okay to go further ahead because we're progressing, but it's being aware of, sometimes people, you hear people say, oh, just ride them through it. But
right. You eventually say that a lot.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, in some cases, they're going to die if they don't. So
yeah. I would probably agree with you if you're coming to a big jump.
Yeah, exactly. Ride them through it. The option's not good.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. But when you're training at home, I would say, especially on the ground and with your flat work or groundwork, backtrack and like I said before, take that stepping stone process on the way out to figure out what's going on. But yeah, we're definitely all guilty of doing that at some point. And I loved actually recently I was listening to a great tutorial by Gareth Hughes, who trained under Carl Hester for 8 years, I think, and he was teaching on the half pass. And he was teaching all the stepping stones in, and he said, all of us are going to come up against something at some point, but if you do, well, when you do, you know what to go back to fix it, to then go forward again.
So you're talking quite a bit about, lateral work and half passes. Is there a certain stage where you start to teach those half passes? Like once you get to impulsion, do you start that? Or do you just sort of work on those things progressively along with the whole scale with your other walk, trot, canter work? Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So I start the very foundations of doing our lateral work from the very first time I work with a horse, teaching them how to yield their hindquarters, how to move their shoulders over, how to have lateral flexion, so that when I get to the point of asking for it under saddle, then it just comes easily, and I'm not trying to teach the whole picture at once. I've been slowly teaching the ABCs, I guess, so I can write a story one day.
Right. Cool stuff.
Good stuff. Well, thank you once again for joining us. We really appreciate it. Always like getting caught up with you. And if people want to follow you on Facebook or website, where do they go?
So they can go to Finesse Equestrian Training on Facebook, or on my website is ellieobrien.co.nz.
And that is also, that's NZ for people in the United States. Sorry, Ellie. So now, is your clinic schedule on there too?
It isn't right now. I've just been putting it together, but it will be within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, great. Well, Ellie, I hope you'll come back.
Yeah, definitely. Back to America?
No, well, come back on the show. And back to America both.
I would
hope your recovery is speedy.
Yes, exactly. We hope you come back from that too. So
thank you so much.
Thanks, Ellie. Well, before we get to our next guest, I have to ask you, did you get the Horse Radio Network branded stud muffins we sent you, Haley?
I did. They're so cute. I wanted to take a picture and send it to you guys. And my horse loved them.
Yeah,
they were delicious.
We haven't found a horse yet that doesn't like a stud muffin. So.
And she's picky. Oh, she's picky.
It's like crack for horses.
Yeah.
It really is. But they are actually, I'll put in a plug for that. We actually got these, they will make now, and it's like an icing on top of the stud muffin. They will take your farm logo or your association logo or whatever, and they'll put them right on the stud muffin. So we got a whole entire case of them, and we sent them out to the hosts and interns.
I was trying to figure out how they did that.
I don't know exactly how they do it, because, that is really a small operation. They do a lot of the cooking themselves. And
it's not like they took a little squeezy thing and, squeeze it on themselves. It looks like it's printed.
It was
like, how do you print with icing? I don't know. It was amazing.
It looked great. And thank you so much for Stud Muffins for doing that. But they are a terrific treat if you see them at your local tack shop or your feed store. Truly, there is not a horse in the world that won't eat a stud muffin. It is like crack for horses. They love those things. My pony will run me over for that. So we have to be careful, actually, when we give him stud muffins, because he's a sugaraholic and he likes anything sweet. So, but stud muffins are great. Thank you so much to them for providing those this year and for doing the custom ones. You can get custom ones too. You just contact them and they'll do them for your organization as well. Well, our next guest, you want to introduce her and we'll bring her in.
Yeah. Our next guest is Laura Weinsek. I'm sorry, Laura, if I butchered that. President and founder of the Thoroughbred Barrel Racing Association. Hi, Laura.
Hi, how are you? And it is actually Laura Weinsek.
Weinsek, I butchered that. I'm so sorry. Well, how are you doing? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Did you grow up horse crazy? Did you come to the horse thing as an adult?
No, actually, I actually learned on mules. My dad had coon hunting mules, so when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I used to climb on them and ride them up and down the pasture, and then slowly got into the ponies and the crazy barrel horses. And in 2013, I was introduced to the thoroughbreds.
Oh, and you figured out that thoroughbreds are the ultimate sport horse, huh?
Oh, I tell you what, when I did this in 2013 and participated in an event that was called the Extreme Retired Racehorse Makeover that was in Ohio, and it was a barrel race, and you had 100 days to take a thoroughbred and turn it into a barrel horse. And my girlfriend she'd told me, oh, you should apply. So I applied for it and kind of thought everybody was nuts, went down to Kentucky, looked at one horse, and ended up, Spade chose me. She grabbed a hold of my jacket with her teeth and her ears pinned back. And I thought, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to make this a challenge. Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. I'm like, I'm going to make this a challenge because everybody said they're crazy and I'm crazy. So I'm going to make this work. And now she actually does riding lessons for me. And she's a big sponsor for Retired Racehorse Project. What we do is we go to different events and everything and say, okay, this is a thoroughbred, and she shows the barrel racing, and she's been all 3 years with Retired Racehorse Project in We were talking earlier about that with Stuart Pittman, and I had the opportunity to be the first barrel racing person to be on the track in Baltimore with a couple other contestants that were in it in 2013. And at the end of 2013, we said, there isn't anything for the thoroughbreds for barrel racing. And I talked to so many people that said, I have a barrel horse and he's a thoroughbred across the United States. And I said, well, let's try it. So we founded the Thoroughbred Barrel Racing Association, myself and some of the other contestants from 2013 that were barrel racers. And it's kind of just taken off from there.
So I do not know very much about barrel racing. In the past, is there a certain level where you could only compete on quarter horses, and so you needed to make the thoroughbred association? Explain that to me a little bit.
Well, no, not really. And actually, the horse that I competed on, and I'd shown at the Josie Junior World Championship, Quarterama back in the day, Quarter Horse Congress. I had ridden a quarter horse that actually had thoroughbred in him. So he was a big guy, and everybody said, that he couldn't turn barrels because he was tall and thin, and
you said, watch
turn
this.
The barrels different. Yeah, watch this. So it was a nice challenge to get into the thoroughbreds and do it. And we've got quite a few that are, that aren't the 16-hand horses, that are smaller ones, and
like mine.
We also have. Yeah, I mean, so I think it was kind of like Dale Simnington that actually is in Retired Racehorse Project also, that does the thoroughbreds and does the cutting horses. It was one of those things, or the ranch horses, I should say. Nobody thought to do it, or it was just something that nobody did, and now branching out into it, these guys can do anything. I mean, these horses. Oh, yeah. These horses can do anything you put their mind to, and we were talking earlier about them being kind of high strung. I have a thoroughbred here now that I use for riding lessons for my younger kids. Heck, we've had a 3-year-old on him, and it takes everything you can get the guy to canter. I mean, he just really leveled out and really calmed down, and he's kind of like the old plug horse at the barn.
That's kind of the personality that mine has, kind of that sleepy, like, until I get her out on a track or something. But, man, when they know their job, they go for it, huh? I mean, you've barrel raced on quarter horses and thoroughbreds. It sounds like you're kind of partial to the thoroughbreds. I mean, do you find there's reasons that maybe a thoroughbred might excel at that?
Well, it's the thing I like about the thoroughbreds is when you get on a thoroughbred has been ridden, and we talked about this here at the barn. I'm actually on one now, and we're riding in the arena. We found that they've been ridden. These horses have been ridden 5, 6, 7 days a week, and they've had somebody on them, but they haven't had somebody where we talk about, Haley, with the leg contact and stuff like that. They've had a jockey on them. So they've had somebody up over their withers, but not really on their sides. So the nice thing is you get a horse that's been ridden a lot, but it's got, a nice soft virgin side per se that hasn't had somebody spurring the heck out of them or trying to train on them and deaden that side. You've got a nice, easy way of getting him to move over to go around that barrel, because you can put your leg in him and he's like, oh, wow. And he's going to move over real easy on you, right, instead of one that's been spurred and trained.
Right. So creating the Thoroughbred Barrel Racing Association, how did you get started doing that? That's such a huge undertaking.
I never thought it was going to turn into what it's turned into. I mean, we have members in Canada, we have members in Mexico, California, pretty much, I want to say probably right now we've branched out to 10 states, and it's definitely an undertaking. It's hard to get everybody together, and we can't really do a finals yet because it's not taken off as big as what we would have liked to have done here in the first 2 years. But we're finding out that more and more people are super excited about it. They've owned thoroughbreds, or they're considering getting thoroughbreds because, of course, they saw the Retired Racehorse Project last year in Kentucky and said, oh, wow, we watched that. We watched Nicole Valerie and Nicole Camuso ride some really nice thoroughbreds and barrel race on them. We want to do that. And it's really broadened it, was seeing it happening and seeing a thoroughbred actually able to sit down and ride around a barrel and come out of a barrel and be trained, for barrel racing.
That is so cool.
How many? I was going to ask, how are they time-wise compared to the quarter horse?
How are they? What? I'm sorry.
Time-wise, what's on their finish times?
Well, like I said, the young lady that won it last year in the barrel racing, she's actually right up there with the first and second division runners. And then you have others, part of the reason why we did this is because we've got people that are maybe riding third division and fourth division horses, which are about a second and a half off. And they're placing in second and third division. But what I try to tell people is maybe you aren't going out to run National Finals Rodeo, or you're not going to go be a part of the National Barrel Horse Association, but you just want to run your local shows and rodeos, and you don't want to go out and spend that $2,500, $3,000 on that quarter horse. And there's so many horses that are at the track that are needing to find homes that may not make it as a jumper or an eventer or a dressage horse, that you can take and start as a barrel horse and be competitive in the third and fourth division or the second division. So
they might not jump,
it's
but
something,
they'll turn and burn, huh?
Yeah, exactly. That may not make it as a beautiful jump horse, but it'll sit down there and turn a barrel nice and be competitive for maybe that person that doesn't have the aspirations to become a national barrel horse champion, but that want to go out and just ride and barrel race and have fun.
That's so cool. How many people do you have, kind of an approximate? How many people are in the association?
Right now, the Thoroughbred Barrel Racing Association, we only have, and this is 2016. So coming into 2016, we only have about 35 members. We're hoping to increase that. It's hard because it's hard to get out there and tell everybody, here we are, we're a fledgling association, come join us. And basically what they do is they ride at their local shows or rodeos. They have a form that they have to fill out. And, say they won that class, we need to know how many horses were running in that class. What did you place? What's the name of that show secretary?
A thoroughbred incentive program.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Kind of like TIP does. It's basically an incentive to get them going. And we're starting to see, we've got 2 shows this year that actually are going to put the Thoroughbred Barrel Racing Association logo to their show. One here in Ohio, and I'm working with a lady in Virginia to do another one, so that we can start getting it out there and saying, hey, come ride a thoroughbred and go to this horse show, and your points and your placings will go towards the year-end awards that we have. So
that is stellar. I know I've just gone to a lot of jumper shows where people, registered as part of the TIP, and they win ribbons because, there's not quite a lot of them yet. But it really is a fun incentive to get the thoroughbred out there and trying new and different things. And, just another way to kind of recycle their career.
Exactly.
Where are you located, and where can people learn more?
They can basically go to, we're on Facebook under the Thoroughbred Barrel Racing Association, and we have a web page that's the Thoroughbred Barrel Racing Association. We've just had to redo it, unfortunately, because of the wonderful world of what do we want to say? Somebody hacking into it. But you can actually look it up on Facebook. Or you can email the Thoroughbred Barrel Racing Association. It is tbraottb@gmail.com.
And we'll post those in our show notes as well.
Okay,
and I also want to give a little love to the Retired Racehorse Project. It's coming up this year. It will be October 27th through the 30th at the Kentucky Horse Park. It's retiredracehorseproject.org. And they're looking, actually right now is the sign-up time, and they're looking for 500 trainers. There'll be $100,000 in prizes. We've covered this actually since Stuart started it when it was 10 horses at his farm. So we've been talking to him ever since. He's going to be, Stuart's actually going to be on the Horses in the Morning show coming up in the next week, I think. So we'll be talking to him more about the Retired Racehorse Project. And if you want to do some barrel racing there, sounds like is something that's definitely an option.
Yes. The Thoroughbred Barrel Racers the Thoroughbred Barrel Racing Association is going to be a part of it. And right now they have the entries open for the trainers. They're open until January 31st. So what you're going to do is you're going to go in and apply as a trainer, and then find your horse and come compete in October. I'd love to see as many barrel racers as there are dressage riders this year.
And you know what you could do now that we got thoroughbreds doing this? You could put a small jump in between each line. So you're doing the jump,
maybe
the
I
turn.
could do that for the freestyle portion.
It sounds like it would fit.
It
would be great. Just put a jump in each line, and you've got a jump, a turn, a jump, a turn. It's perfect.
Well, exactly. We could make that some kind of a part of our freestyle, because what we're going to do this year, because everybody thinks that a barrel racer goes out and yeehaws and spurs and whips and kicks, and there isn't any training involved. So what we want to do this year, I'm working with Stuart and the girls to come up with a freestyle competition where you're going to go in and do a freestyle, and you're going to show how you train that horse, and you're going to show the moves and the different things that horse does, and you're going to do kind of a slow barrel pattern to show how you bend, how you flex, how you rate before we actually have the barrel race, so that the jumper people and the dressage people and everybody else can see that, hey, there is a little bit more into it than going into that arena and pulling on that horse and kicking and spurring and whipping. So,
I'm a carriage driver. We have what we call derbies now, and it's basically barrel racing with carts.
There you go.
Yeah, it's fast, and you go as fast as you can through the course that's set up. But it's basically barrel racing with carts, and it's a lot of fun too. It really is. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. We really appreciate it, Laura. And we'll let you. I know you're riding right now. By the way, we want to acknowledge that because we love having guests on that are riding. So you're riding right now, right?
Yes, it's a little chilly in Ohio, though. I think maybe this time we're at maybe 30 degrees, so it's about 5 degrees colder in the arena than it is outside, unfortunately, here. But we're up right on the lake, so.
Well, we're thinking about you here in Ocala, okay?
I'm sure you are.
I have no sympathy.
Yeah, she's in Idaho. She's even colder than you are.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, she's got a little bit more snow than I do.
Sorry. I keep saying you're in
okay.
Idaho. Iowa, it's the same thing.
No, it's okay. It's close.
All right,
Started
thanks,
with
Laura.
an I. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me.
Well, we're so excited here at the Horse Radio Network to have our first non-horse product related sponsor join us.
Yay!
The audience, the listeners should be very proud of that too, because that means that this little network over here of horse people all talking about horses, we have basically gotten the attention of sponsors outside our little world. And that means a lot, and it's thanks to our listeners that's happened. And the company is Bed in a Box. And Jennifer and I have used their memory foam mattresses for years. We wouldn't sleep on anything else. We just bought a new one, as a matter of fact. We just love them to death. I had a chance to talk to the marketing director over there and talk a little bit about it. Have you ever tried memory foam mattress?
My mother has one. I don't remember the brand, but I really have wanted one. Our bed we're college students, right? So we are lucky enough to have a queen, but it kind of sags in the middle. And so
where you roll over and you both end up in the middle.
Tyson doesn't like to sleep hot. So it's my side and his side. And unfortunately I kind of roll slowly. So I keep saying when we graduate, we are going to buy a bed, and I'm really excited that now I know where to start.
Well,
so
take a listen to my interview, and I think you're going to learn a lot about Bed in a Box.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, hi, everyone. Glenn the Geek here, and I got to tell you a little story. My wife and I, 8 years ago, decided that we needed a new mattress. Ours was pretty old, so we at that time, memory foam mattresses were just starting to come in to be a big thing, and we wanted ourselves a memory foam mattress. So I got on Google or Yahoo or whatever it was back then, and we searched and we came up with this company called Bed in a Box. And the thing that caught my attention about Bed in a Box was the name, Bed in a Box, and I just thought that was fascinating. So we hopped on there and we ordered ourselves a queen size foam mattress. We had never had one before. Well, 8 years later, we just got a new one because we were so happy with the old one, and we put the old one now in the spare room, which I think was a mistake. We'll talk about that later. But we put the old one in the spare room, and we have this new one that we absolutely love. And I'm so excited to announce that Bed in a Box is our newest sponsor here for 2016 on the Horse Radio Network. And I have Brad from Bed in a Box with me. Hi, Brad.
Hey, Glenn, how's it going?
Good. Thank you, first of all, for 8 great years of sleeping.
Hey, you're more than welcome for that.
I know that you probably hear that a lot, but we had always owned the traditional mattresses. You go to Sears, you lay on a couple of them, and you go, I want that one, right? Isn't that what most people do? Or they go to the mattress store or whatever. Most people do not order them in a great big box that come from UPS or a delivery service. So,
sure, yeah. Most people they go to the stores and they lay on a million different kinds, and then by the time you've laid on, 50 different mattresses at 10 different stores, they all feel exactly the same.
Exactly. And then you end up buying the cheapest one. So that's what happens. Well, we wanted to try this whole foam thing, which we had never done before, and it was really starting to become big 8-10 years ago when we looked at our first one, and we went, as I said, in bed in a box because one of your warranty you had back then, and your guarantee that you had back then, and then also the reviews were really good, so we ordered it. I got to tell you, we will not, when we go to hotels now, we love getting home to get back to our foam mattresses because hotel mattresses just don't cut it. They are so comfortable, and the way your body just gets basically absorbed into the mattress, there's not the stress points. And for horse people who are always sore, who've always sore from riding or falling off or cleaning stalls, we're always being beat up. My wife's broken every bone in her body at least once. And these are just so comfortable, and they take those problems away.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the best benefits of memory foam is just the fact that it has that pressure relief. Because you really just get rid of that. Those aches and pains just kind of melt away. And the biggest thing is that you lay in one position, you fall asleep, and then you wake up in that position, then you've got a good restful sleep. You weren't tossing and turning all night.
Exactly. Now, bed in a box, how long ago did it start?
We started in 2006, sold the first mattress in 2007, and then kind of been rolling along ever since.
So we bought
and
one
it's
of the
all
first
been online.
ones. Actually.
Yep, you very well could have.
So, as I said, we've been thrilled with it. It's still going strong. It's in the spare room now for our guests to sleep on. One of the things I really liked, and it's risky buying a mattress that you haven't laid on, right, in the store, which you don't get to do here. But you take that risk away with a couple of different things. Tell us about it.
Sure. One of the first things that we have is the 120-day zero-risk trial. Basically, what that means is from the first day that you get the mattress up until 120 days later, you can lay on that every night, try it out, whenever you want to, and see, is this the mattress for me? No pressure of, I have to make this decision soon. Take your time, make sure that it's the right mattress for you. We want you to be happy with it.
And so if I don't like the mattress, I just call you up?
Yeah, you just call us up, and our customer service team is excellent at, identifying any problems that you're having with it. We try to work with you. If there is something that we can do to maybe help you sleep a little more comfortable on it, we certainly go to that length to do it. If not, then we take care of arranging the return process.
Well, I got to tell you, too, one of the things I recommend when you first get your first memory foam mattress is to sleep on it for a week or two before you decide. When the first couple of nights are different because it conforms to your body much differently. Well, the other mattresses just don't. So the fact that these do conform to your body and really don't give you the pressure points that the other mattresses do on your arms or your side or however you sleep, it's going to take you a couple of nights to get used to it. But then all of a sudden, you're going to be a week later and it's just going to dawn on you that I've been sleeping better. And am I right? Am I the only one that went through that process?
No, there's a lot of customers that go through that exact same process. When you've been laying on a mattress that hasn't been supporting you properly for a while, your body gets used to it and kind of adjusts to it. Well, when you go back to one that's supporting you properly, your body's being kind of forced to correct itself, and it kind of, it doesn't want to do it. For the first few days, you wake up a little, with some aches and pains, but then, like you said, you'll all of a sudden wake up one day and you'll realize that, hey, my back's not sore, or, my hips aren't sore anymore when I'm waking up. This is fantastic.
I'll tell you, once you go back, once you do a memory foam mattress, you don't go back. That is for sure. And when I talked to customer service all those years ago, when we first bought our first one, your customer service is excellent, by the way. When I talked to Southern Hospitality, when I talked to them, they told me all these things, and they also helped us kind of pick out, because you have so many different models. They kind of helped us pick out a model that they thought we would like, and they were so good about that. I really liked our customer service experience, which when you're spending this much money and ordering it through the mail, it's something you worry about.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of the biggest things that, initially we had to overcome was, someone spending this kind of money, they wanted to know that there was a company behind us that was going to be here for a while. So, we definitely wanted to make sure that all our customer care agents were trained and made sure that they understand that, taking care of the customer is the top priority for us. We want you all to sleep happy. That's that's absolute priority for us.
I got to tell you, if you guys have not tried a memory foam mattress and you're due to get a mattress, or you just want to get a new mattress, or what the heck, you don't need a new one, but you want a better night's sleep, then visit bedinabox.com. And the reason it's called Bed in a Box is this thing actually, your mattress will actually come in a box. And you open up the box, it's kind of pressure packed because it is foam. It's kind of pressure packed. You open up the box and you take the plastic off, and your mattress grows, and within about an hour you can sleep on it.
Yeah, we tell people now that by the time you get done making the bed, it's ready to go.
And the other thing it eliminates, every married couple will know what I'm talking about, and it's that extra arm. One of the two of you, no matter how you're laying, has the extra arm. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, it eliminates that because your extra arm kind of sinks. It has a place to go now without a pressure point. And so every married couple knows what I'm talking about with the extra arm. Okay, now you have several different choices on the website. What's the best way for people to figure out what's best for them?
Usually the first thing that we tell people is, are you a back sleeper or are you a side sleeper? If you're kind of in between, we start from there. So if you're like a back sleeper, most people usually, if they sleep on their back, prefer a firmer mattress. So that's kind of the way we'll go with it. If you're a side sleeper, you usually want something softer because your hips and your knees are going to kind of sink down into the foam a little bit more. So you need a little more cradling support.
And what I recommend is just call them. Call them and talk to them about this, and they'll recommend one for you that will best fit your situation and your price point, too. Both of those things. But I can't recommend, my wife and I, Jennifer and I, cannot recommend it enough. Bedinabox.com. There's other memory foam companies out there, but I doubt there's any that have the customer support and really that have the 120-day zero-risk trial, the 20-year warranty, and the free shipping, everything that goes along with bedinabox.com. Thank you so much, Brad. We appreciate you being on. And again, thanks for so many years of good sleeping. Well, for our Tack and Habit segment this week, we have a product that's not out yet, so you're going to hear about it here before it comes out, but it's something that you'll be able to pre-order shortly. And, of course, I'm a geek. I've been Glenn the Geek for 20 years now because I like anything techie, and especially horsey techie. And we have Jeffrey Schaub here with us, who's the founder and CEO of Night Watch. And it's Night Watch. The product is Night Watch 24. So, first of all, hello, Jeff.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Glenn.
So good to have you on. Now, I intentionally did not watch the video for this product. I found out about it. A couple of our listeners actually found out about it and said, you've got to have them on. That we want to hear more from the company about this and exactly what it does. So explain the product to us.
Sure. Well, I appreciate the opportunity. So the product, as you mentioned, is called Night Watch, and it's in late-stage development. Our plans are to make this commercially available in the U.S. and Canada by mid-year this year, 2016. But broadly speaking, Night Watch is the world's first smart halter. It's also offered in the form of a safety collar. So what that means is within the crown of the halter is technology that monitors the animal's vital signs as well as behavioral patterns. And when the system detects early signs of an acute distress event, for example, colic or being stall cast, the device is going to notify you or a caretaker for early intervention.
And is that
so
done
in
through
broad
an app?
speaking terms, you can. There is an app available, but is not required. Think of it like an ADT home system where you'll set up a profile for your horse, and it says, if my animal's in distress, who do I contact, how do I contact them, and who's the rollover contact? We want to make sure there's ultimately accountability through a closed-loop functionality.
So it could be through an app, or you could text their phone or whatever they set up.
Exactly. There is an app that will be available for smartphones as well as a web dashboard. So all the information that we're gathering, so your animal's vital signs, how many times they get up and down a day, how much time they spend lying down, how many times they roll, all that information will be available and transparent at the touch of a button on your phone or on the web.
Huh. I didn't know. Where is the monitor? Is it, if we're taking a look at a halter, is it on the crown piece? Where is it at?
Exactly. All the technology is embedded very non-invasively within the crown of the halter or the safety collar. And so we're talking approximately about 1 inch in diameter, about 10 millimeters in thickness, and it runs the entire span over the pole region of the horse right behind their ears. So it's fully enclosed in a very flexible enclosure that's waterproof and dustproof. So even though it's a very sophisticated product, it's designed to be in inclement weather, designed for the barn.
Yeah, well, that was one of the listener questions is, what happens if it's pouring down rain and my horse is out?
Yeah, no, very, very common. And what's very important and unique about this product is it has a cellular chip as well as Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So you do not need to be connected or even close proximity to your barn or yourself. This product will work in a horse fan. This product will work in a very large pasture or field. As long as there's some level of cellular connectivity, the product will work. And so we anticipate that this product will be used on horses potentially 24/7 around the clock who are in fields that, you may experience very cold, extreme winters of Canada to very warm, humid environments of southern Florida.
Now, the halter itself is a traditional leather halter, and I saw that you're having them made by Friedman's Harness, and they're a terrific company that make really, really quality stuff. Those of us in the driving world know them very well. So, I have no problem with the quality of the halters. They're going to be really nice. And in the fact that the technology is in the crown piece, if something would happen to that, you would, or somebody, or the horse breaks the halter in another part of it, you would just be able to take that crown off and put it on a replacement bottom part. Did I ask that right?
Yes, in theory, and you bring up a very excellent point, because one of the questions we have been faced with, and it's a very common question, which is, I have apprehension leaving a halter on my horse for an extended period of time.
Yes, and a lot of people don't do that when they're turned out. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, I grew up with the horses. I've been showing horses for nearly 40 years. I'm a biomedical engineer. And so first and foremost, the horse's safety is paramount to us. We would never design a product that would increase the level of compromise to the horse. And so as you can appreciate, this halter is all leather, which leather has a very low break point versus nylon. We would never advocate putting our crown piece on a nylon halter.
Right.
And we've also designed special breakaway features of the halter so that if the animal does get snagged, as these animals love to do, it will break away. And for those of you who have an iPhone, we're going to have something very similar to the Apple Care program called the Halter Care program, which in essence is like an insurance policy because we do not want people to be scared if these halters break. We want you to simply package it up, send it back to us, and we will replace that halter free of charge if you opt in for the Halter Care program.
I did not know that I did not know that if you put sensors on the top of the head like that, you could get that information. That was kind of surprising to me, but I'm not a veterinarian, so but I didn't realize that could be a spot where you could put those sensors.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an unknown when we started on this journey almost 3 years ago.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we lost a horse who was only 8 years young to a very rare colic event in the middle of the night. And so Night Watch is a labor of love. And the first thing we said was, this is unacceptable. Candidly, those who know me have heard me say, I love horses and tolerate people, and I want to apologize for that. And so these horses are paramount, and we said we need to design something that is not going to change the operations of the barn. And so looking at the halter was the path of least resistance. And we're using a very sophisticated technology. And Glenn, I know you love the technology, so I'm going to geek you out for a minute.
Good.
It's called ultra-wideband impulse radar.
Oh, yeah.
And so what we are doing is actually physically measuring the displacement of the microvasculature in the pole region as well as the soft tissue of the upper respiratory tract. So it's analogous to sonar in which we have a sampling rate of more than 100 times a second that's measuring the physical contraction and restrictions of that microvasculature and also changes in that soft tissue. And so the art is in the signal conditioning and processing, which allows us to get this. So you don't have any exposed contacts, you don't have any exposed wires. It's a very different way to look at biometric function in these animals, unlike the historical way, which is electrical impedance.
Geez, you and I know horse people. They're going to be sitting there watching their screens all day, especially if they board their horse or if they, like us. When we put our horse out in the back field at our farm, we have 11 acres and it's very long and narrow, so I can't see them when they're in the back pasture. We'll all be sitting there all day watching and seeing, is he moving around? Is he rolling? We're going to be doing that all day.
I would be guilty of that.
It's just going to be such a time sucker, right? Because we're all that way.
It'd be like a new toy.
It is. It's going to be a new toy. Now, will I be able to, in the morning, go to my profile and my horse's profile and see, okay, has he slept a lot last night? Will it track that kind of stuff?
We do not track things such as sleep patterns. We are collecting, as you can appreciate, a lot of data. I'm sorry?
It was sort of track activity. If they're running around, their pressures, the numbers are going to go up. So it'll track whether they had a lazy night or an active night.
Exactly. Yeah. We are tracking a lot of information, but what we're reporting back to the user based upon our market research were the three most important surrogates for distress. As you can appreciate, there's a lot of technology out there that report on things such as how many steps the animal walked, how many calories they burned. That's solving a different problem. We've been very true to our value prop from day one, which is we want earlier intervention for acute distress. And the three surrogate behavior metrics when we've done the market research are reporting on the number of times my animal has gotten up and down, how many times they've rolled, and how much time they've spent. And what's very important is we're using some very sophisticated adaptive learning algorithms that are constantly learning your animal's norm. So the longer your animal wears this device, it learns what good looks like for that animal.
I can imagine you get a lot of interest from veterinarian clinics or maybe research clinics or things like that, right?
We do. We were at AAEP meeting in Las Vegas last month, and it was our first exposure to the professional community. And I'm not embellishing when I say that our booth was never silent over those 3 days.
I bet.
We have been working in collaboration with Haggard in Lexington, Kentucky, to give us clinical guidance on the development process. And so we've always had the vet community at the forefront of our priorities.
Now, I do have a question. This came from one of the listeners when we have a private listeners room. And when I put in there that we were going to be talking to you guys, they did have some questions. So one of them was, and our horses do this too. I have a Hackney pony, and if you know about Hackneys because you were kind of you've seen them in the driving world. They're naughty little devils, basically. And he is playing lip tag with everybody he can get a hold of. And one of the questions was, if they're playing lip tag and somebody bites down on the top of that halter where the sensors are, how tough is it? Was the question.
It's a great question. The real answer is I don't know, quote unquote, how tough it is, but we have designed the enclosure to be, as I previously mentioned, water and dust proof, but also shatter resilient. It's a flexible polyethylene pod with material very similar that's used in hockey helmets that a lot of the juveniles wear. So we wanted to absorb some level of shock. But again, like every new product, it's perfectly imperfect. If you could dream of a possible scenario, I am sure at some point it's going to happen.
Yeah, and especially with horses. So now you have two.
One thing that triggers I've had questions, which is, I'd love to turn out my horses, but they'd love to play with each other's halters and collars. Next thing I know, my halter and collar is in a large pasture. What do I do? And an important feature of Night Watch is the GPS location. So besides knowing where your animal is at all time, if your halter or collar does slip off in a large field, you'll simply go to your smartphone, you'll put in the location, and you'll physically walk to and retrieve that device.
I think you need to make attachments for fly masks.
And horseshoes.
Absolutely.
And horseshoes. How many of us
we do have a very
horseshoes?
I know.
This is very cool. Now, do we have an idea on the price?
We do. We are going to be offering a special introductory price that starts at $500 per device. And that'll be during this introductory phase in the first quarter. And there'll be more information released very soon on that. And then once we are fully commercially available, which is more late summer, that price will be increasing.
And are there
now, in addition
sizes?
to the acquisition?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. So yes, there will be 3 different size halters, and there'll be 4 different size collars available at launch. But in addition to that $500, what's important to remember is that this is a device that doesn't need constant monitoring by you. That's where we alleviate that stress. So in addition to purchasing the halter or safety collar, you will be required to sign up for a monitoring service, which is an annual contract, which is equivalent to just about $1 a day, just under $1 a day, or $28.99 a month.
Well, I think it's neat. What do people do if they want to become, if they want to be notified when it's available to order?
Absolutely. You can go to our website, and that's nightwatch24.com. And under the information section, you can simply fill out a form, and you'll be entered into our database to be notified when pre-orders are available. And as previously mentioned, that's going to be sometime this first quarter, and that will include a special discounted price that starts at $500.
Well, that was interesting, Haley. One of the things we forgot to ask him and we talked to him about earlier was that the battery life, he said, if you use it every night, overnight, let's say they're turned out or whatever, it's 5 to 7 days, or even in their stalls for that matter. It's 5 to 7 days, and then you actually have a wireless charger. You just set it on this cradle-like thing, and it charges in 3 to 4 hours. So,
which is like, a trail ride.
And then you asked a really good question off air, and that was, is it really heavy? And, technology today is pretty light, but the batteries are what would be the heavy part. And he said he said it's ounces. So
it's like nothing. He said it doesn't make a difference.
Because batteries are where the heaviness always comes into your laptop and everything that you're using that needs charge. It's the batteries that are the heaviest part. Transistors and things like that now, little circuit boards are so tiny anymore.
So
they don't weigh
tiny.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty amazed. Ounces, that's nothing.
Now, the price, we'll see. It's going to be interesting with the price the way it is, because basically you're looking at, $800 the first year between the cost of that and of the halter and the monitoring. But you know what? We're crazy horse people. We'll spend that to make sure our horse is healthy.
Well, and if you have a horse that's in stall rest, you're probably paying about that much anyways for vet care. So maybe that'd be a really good way.
To colic, that's prone to colic, then you're not going to think twice. It's one vet.
It's
bill.
just part of the monitoring.
Right.
Yeah. So
if you look at it that way, it's a vet call, and
especially those high dollar horses.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't replace. The insurance only does so much.
That's right.
I can see that being important in those areas for sure.
Well, interesting product. Nightwatch24.com. Technology comes to the horse world.
The future of the horse industry.
Yeah, smart guy. Well, thank you, Haley. You were terrific.
Yeah,
Yay!
It's so fun. I love doing
being
this.
A co-host. So you'll hear more of Haley. She's lined up to do more work as an intern with us this year, and I hope all the interns are as good as you.
Oh, I do too. Because it's really hard. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Everyone will be great. If you love the show, you'll be great.
And if you want to intern, if it's something that you think you want to do, you're in college like Haley, or we ask that you be 18 years old. And, what we start you off with actually is doing the producing job for a show. So you say, I want to produce the dressage radio show. You would book the guests for that night. Basically, the show is yours. And you book the guests, you get everything set up, and then we might throw you in the deep end and have you help interview your first guest, right, Haley?
Yeah. Well, and bring your wings, because you'll be flying by the seat of your pants. That's for sure.
and you did great. Look, it turned out to be our most listened to episode of the Horses in the Morning for the year. So
I was really glad to hear that. It's
really
super
cool.
fun.
Well, that's it for this week. We're going to be back next week with our big announcement here on the Stable Scoop Show. Helena will be back. And if you want to find Haley someplace, where do they find you?
On Facebook. You can just look me up, Haley MacDonald Johnson, and I have an Instagram account and a Twitter, but I don't know. I get on Twitter occasionally. It's at Mackleby, That's my childhood nickname. So on Instagram, it's at MACLBEE, and I just Instagram my adventures. And then Twitter is at MacklebieJoe. So MacLBEEJO.
Very good. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll talk to you again next week. Happy New Year. If you want to, if you're not listening on our app, go get our free app, iOS or Android. Just search for Horse Radio Network. And, of course, you can find all the past episodes of the Stable Scoop Radio Show at stablescoop.com. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Happy New Year.